I figured, sorry, bear with me, this is always not easy trying to talk to a camera. I feel that right now, sitting in this time of quiet and this peace, I just feel like I want to talk to y'all, but I don't know what I want to talk to y'all about because there's so much going on. And I understand that everything's like an onion. You got to peel back all the layers to get to the core, to get to the center, to get to everything that makes everything what it is, including getting to know me. Now, I have been a part of a lot of abandonment, mistreated, misuse in many ways and forms. And I continue to try to understand why I go through these things. And there's reasons for everything, and not everything makes me down and depressed, but just feeling like I'm alone doesn't seem... I know I'm not alone, but feeling like I'm alone, going through everything like I am, makes it feel like I'm alone at times. I am alone. Physically, not. But I've been taken care of. I have been well looked after. God has made it to where everything in my life has made everything I've gone through a very smooth transition and period. I really haven't suffered. I really haven't been completely comfortable, but with all my skills, knowledge, and abilities, I've been able to do this like a beautiful vacation. And yet, I'm still coming through all of this, technically still being on top. Anyone else, being a lesser person, could not have bared everything that I have bared and continued to move forward, knowing that somehow, some way, everything was going to change and get righted, and justice and judgment would fall and take place. And it wasn't always easy to hold on, but I dragged myself through with the help of God, angels, and certain ones He had put upon their heart to help me along the way. So with that in mind, I need something to drink. You know, it has been quite a journey. But I've always found being out like I've been, in nature, away from people, away from chaos, away from drama, away from lies, away from all the negativity, the darkness, and the corruption that is within so many people. And then being the person that kind of understands all the different sides. So I never really attempted to judge anyone for any of that, because I could understand, you know, both sides, even if the person talking couldn't understand why the other side was the way it was too. But the same thing, like when everything happened with me, and because of the situation being what it was, to the depth and the point of what it was on every angle, on every aspect, when my child's father, Kelly, passed away, his family took advantage of the situation to better themselves, not really caring about the consequences and the effects of many different things, failing to realize that Kelly himself had feelings and had ways he would have wanted things to go. Nobody bothered to try to take that into account but me, and everyone wanted to ignore it as if he was dead and he did not matter no more. Which that is not true, because when you understand God and you understand what happens to us, and the fact that we are like butterflies, and we right now are caterpillars inside our cocoons, and we're waiting to christen through death and emerge to a completeness of who we're supposed to be, with God and the universe. There's power in knowing that you've been taken care of and you've been looked after, even with everything bad that's ever happened. These people only cared about getting their hands on his possessions as soon as he died. They were not thinking about my living child, and they definitely were not thinking about me, and they were not thinking about what Kelly would have wanted. Because if they would have considered everything, even they would have seen and known that, you know, the situation was what it was. We had a fight. I wasn't there. He died. They took advantage of the situation. Cops wouldn't listen to me. The landlord tried to help, but wasn't a help, but also had her own interest to consider. And I tried to work with that, but because of the no help of the cop and the other things that she was able to see firsthand from herself, still decided to go along with what would be in her best interest, which was to get rid of the place and not care so long as everything got out as fast as it could. And even though I might have been in a position where I could have done something about it, she was already letting everyone else do the things that they were doing and wasn't fighting them and not trying to cause issue. At the same time, the people at the house who had no right to be at the house got contacted by the cops and found out they were lying at the event where they said that they were at the house when they were never technically at the house. Their lie got caught when they got investigated for something else that occurred during that time and period where they claimed they were there when they never were. Just like I argued over the fact, if any of them live here, how come they didn't have a key? And how come I had a key and I had a key for every door and every lock in every spot of the house? And yet they couldn't even get access inside the house when all this occurred. And, well, even when the truth came out, so much time had passed that nobody wanted to do anything about it. They were made to leave, and different arrangements were set in order that I still don't know about to today, because life is not about material stuff, and that's clearly all they cared about. And after all this time, that's still all they seem to care about, because they did not consider how it must have felt to be me. I mean, right before this, let's talk a little two-faced. Right before this, everyone was nice to me. Everyone was polite. Everyone was apparently two-faced, because the second Kelly died, they all turned against me without me having any understanding of why they turned against me like they did. At the same time, this isn't a bad thing, but it is a bad thing just to have everyone turn on you out of nowhere. That happened to me on a massive magnitude of scale. Total two-face, like a light switch went off and everyone went from being so fake to everything that was right there that even I tried to look past came right to the surface at a time that should have been more thoughtful on how everything happened. I was the last person that would have been totally materialistic. I would have let everyone had a part of something, but they didn't want to have a part of something. They wanted it all for themselves. They wanted to have someone to blame for somebody dying of a heart attack, saying I killed him. Well, maybe that's partly true. He might have died of a slightly broken heart, but at the same time, with everything else that led up to his death, from him making me choose between him and God, me choosing God, him physically throwing me out of the house, me having to make the decision to take the journey that I took, and being strong and firm and flattered of the fact that, yes, I chose God. How stupid would I be not to choose God? And then him begging me to come back, and I wouldn't come back because the whole faith thing was an issue. Not religion, because religion is different. But I'm talking about faith. And but you learn your faith through the different religions, and which allows you to grow, seek closer when you're seeking God, so long as you're seeking God with your whole heart, and you're looking for God, and you're looking for the truth, and you're looking for the answers, and you're looking for justice. Everything just ends up going that way. And well, he would not allow me to even open up the Bible in the house. He didn't like knowing that I like talking about certain things, and it made problems. And it literally came down to a day where he had a fight and he said, God's not real. I had to choose between him and God. I said, you can't do that. You know what I'm going to choose, don't you? I chose God. he got so enraged because I chose God over him that he threw me out of the house. Here it is. We're just having a fight, and I'm thinking this really can't be happening, but if it's happening, I would never choose anything other than what I'm choosing. And through a month and a half of this going on, this back and forth battle, he would call me, he would be one way, he'd call me, he'd be another way, he'd call me, he'd be one way. And it was just this constant roundabout, and nothing was where I knew, where I just woken up from a dream. I knew what was going on. But I did not realize to what extent, to what magnitude everything was going through, because time unfolds in a certain way that we can't always explain. We can try, and certain things might be puzzle pieces that help put things together for a bigger perspective for us. But do we see and do we realize these things? Me having to choose between man and God, that's something when we first find out of any belief, that, you know, if you're made to choose, you got to have strong faith and stand behind what you believe. And if you don't stand behind what you believe, well, then that's, well, you know very well, that's your soul, that's your life, that's denying of God. You can't do that on no level. Once you know of Jesus Christ, you can't deny the existence of Jesus Christ. Once you know the existence of God, you can't deny the existence of God. There is danger in knowing the truth, and you can't stand down, back up, and bow out of something when you know it's what it is. And granted, Kelly might have died of a broken heart because of all of this. But why would I choose anybody other than God? And somebody would think that they would be better than God. Well, that's also meaning you know not who you are, because every one of you is somebody special, playing a part in a bigger picture of everything that's going on. No matter if you acted in a so-called negative way or positive way, where something came out good, or you thought you had a good excuse for everything, but was that what was really what was going on? Or were you just looking for an excuse to make yourself feel better about the situation for what it was? Like when everyone rose up against me, all to get their things that they wanted from death. You know, he died. Let's see what we can get, because, you know, I have a right, and I don't give a damn about her because she killed him. He died of a heart attack, even though she wasn't nowhere around. She's the reason he died. That's pretty loaded to blame me for his death. I mean, I was in the vehicle when he was on the phone with a lady who was driving me, and she had her 2 kids with us, and I was doing certain works that I was doing that I do for God when I'm out and about, and he calls, and he's wanting to have what was technically an inappropriate conversation while I was in the vehicle. And then he got upset, and just like that, a light switch went off, and he went from being one way to going right to the other way. And I said, you know what, I don't need this right now, and I hung up. Well, I tried to call back later. Apparently he died. So yeah, that's how apparently I killed him. Because he wanted me back so bad. And me denying him so much that he knew it was over. That I wasn't coming back, that I truly did choose God above him, and this was a situation we couldn't go backwards on, that I was going forward with my life path, and I wasn't going to allow his thoughts or views or reasonings why I can or can't do certain things, you know, this imprisonment of a relationship, instead of allowing me to be me, like I always tried to allow him to be him. But I had to sacrifice me for him to have the he that he wanted, to make him happy. I had to give up all kinds of things that made me who I was for someone that in the end wanted me to choose him over God in the sum of it. And he died still loving me, but being brokenhearted. Now, how do you think I felt going through everything I was going through, faced with the things I was going through, and yet I still pushed on? And he knew he had high blood pressure. He checked it. He knew he had issues with his family, and he removed them from his life on his own. I foolishly tried to justify why each and every single one had a reason for why they did, say, or reacted, or etc., and tried to help him see their side of it. And he still decided on his own to remove his family back out of his life, because he only attempted to bring them in because of me. And I tried to excuse things just for them to, in the end run of it all, show exactly all the things he said to me all the times that I didn't listen because I was trying to find the good in all of them. That was my downfall, for caring and thinking that they would have been better people. Because what they did to me, to my child, and to Kelly, who died, who is not dead, then what? My life still is like it is. I still push on. I still try to go on. I got a lot of things again up against me, and there's more layers of the onion to peel back. But with this rambling, I think I have talked long enough, and you know, it's not always easy to suck up everything for what it is. But when the system fails you, and you had insurance to cover your possessions in the event something like this happened. And again, you're not trying to fight for Kelly's things, and you're not trying to fight for your child's things, because you would think your child's things would still be there, even though they weren't. Then, you know, I got the right to fight for my stuff that I had from before I moved into the house, stuff that I bought during the time I was there, stuff I've obtained, and to be pretty much denied everything, from even the curtains on the window that I'd got myself, to be denied that, to be denied my towels, to be denied my own clothing, to be denied things that belonged to my family that I had when I met him, that came with me, tools that I obtained for things that I was doing in my life. All these things I don't have, and that I tried to protect myself for. The whole reason I had insurance. Couldn't do anything because the cops were not on my side for a way that I could technically file for anything. I tried to hold on to all these different things, and after this long of being denied because the cops wouldn't do one thing that the insurance needed, and all this other back and forth nonsense, I still got shafted. That all my stuff that I lost, I can't even account for that. The law should have been on my side on so many levels, and it wasn't. My child, being Kelly's only biological heir, meant she was entitled to everything. And then there was stuff in there too about what would happen if I was the mother of the child, married or not married. All this stuff is in the law. I tried to use this to protect us, and then me also having the recording of what Kelly wanted when he died with all his stuff. You would think all of this would have helped, and it didn't. That's the wonderful world we live in. And that I continued to try to do things to protect myself for things I knew that was going to come, things that were going to happen, and it still unfolded in a way that just showed everyone's true colors. And the fact that I didn't fight back like they wanted just enraged them more. They should feel worse knowing that life and my love and everything that I still have to endure is not worth that material stuff. When they die, what do they do with that? Do any of them take it with them? If it's broke, if it's damaged, what are you going to do with it? You're just going to let it sit around, build up clutter? What are you going to do with it? You actually going to do something with it? You actually wanted it? I mean, come on now. Don't you think there was a reason we had everything we had? And then, just to have everything happen the way it did, it does suck. But there should have been a right way for everything to go down, and it didn't. Legally, I should have been protected, and I wasn't. And it was just one thing after another, after another, after another. And, trying to do everything right. And by these certain guidelines and standards, and to still get shafted. And then to reach out to organizations for help for housing, and then to be told that I don't qualify for this reason or that reason, or I'm denied, or, just all this other stuff. It's like, you gotta be joking me. You would think me in my position, with everything that's happened, that I would qualify for some type of help or assistance. But for one reason or another, apparently I don't. But there's nothing wrong in the world, right? Everything's fine. When a woman and a child can go without a home, can go without housing, can go without assistance, and to go through life continuing to look for the good and still get shafted on one reason or another and unpleasant, and still try to move on, don't you get how big that is? Don't you get how hard that is? How lonely that is? But yet you push on. I see the freedom in it at the same time, because I was taken care of by God. God put the right people in our path at the right time, at the right situations. I mean, things were so wonderful that every time my child would want a toy, and we'd be up in a motel room, and she would see this toy on TV, and she'd go, "Oh, Mommy, I want that toy, and I want this particular toy." And then we'd go about to do what we did the very next day, and out of nowhere, a stranger would give her that exact toy she just seen, that she just said she wanted, and it would happen. That's how much God looked out for even her. That it was that simple, that her little pure heart could want something, and she trusted that it would happen. And I didn't worry about it, because I just knew that it would work out one way or another. She was going to get that toy. God's children are taken care of. They are well taken care of, to where even a innocent child that's 3 turning 4 could see something on TV, want it, and then a stranger would gift her that exact toy. That's God. I don't care what you say. That is God. That is the gloriness of God. And He works just like that. But do you believe? Do you know? Do you follow? Do you trust? Doing those things bring you closer. And that's what I've always encouraged my child. Like when you're outside and you see a butterfly and you see it fluttering around, if you want that butterfly to come near you, all you have to do is ask, and its spirit will hear your spirit, and it'll come right over to you. So she would always believe me, and she would go down and she would say, "Butterfly, please come closer so I can look at you. I want to be your friend. I just want to look at you, not catch you, but look at you." And then the butterfly would actually end up coming right over. Her spirit spoke to that spirit, and that happened just like that. And in that moment, you can see just how everything shined so wonderful, that she was so aligned with that perfect little faith. And that butterfly felt that intention and went to her, and it happened. Stuff like that is the magnitude of the gloriness that is God, for the beautiful, for the wonderful. And you just want to throw all these words together and make new words, because it's hard to put into words, because so much describes such a wonderful situation. But those situations were what they were, perfect at the moment for what they were. Along our travels and along our journeys, we did all kinds of things that was only allowed to happen, was able to apply to us, was able to take factor, all these different good things, was because God aligned everything at that moment to where everything was a wonderful adventure, from some of the people I've met to the situations we've had. I mean, how many little kids during the event of COVID could say that they got to have their 4th birthday, their first birthday after their daddy just died, and it's so fresh, she still talked about it so much, and have that birthday at Disney World? Really? You know, they're just opening back up, and you know, people are just now starting to go, and it's her 4th birthday, and she wants it at Disney World. And I didn't even know she knew who Pocahontas was, and she says she wanted to see Pocahontas. And we go to Disney World, and she sees Pocahontas 3 different times, and 3 different times Pocahontas tells her happy birthday. But because of the way things were, because of COVID, they were only on the boats in the river to, you know, reduce constant interaction with other people that were passing through that could have risk factors of COVID and blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, so she got, her birthday wish came true, and I always kind of wanted to go to Disney World. Never thought I'd go, let alone not with everything in life the way it was. But that's how much God looked out for us. We might not have had it right before that. We had no way to go to Disney World, and then he put it in our path that it was. And then afterwards, it was back to, well, we had that experience, and now we're back to where we were, and there was nothing wrong with that. It flowed and happened beautifully, perfectly. My child got to go to the aquarium for her birthday as well. I mean, we did all kinds of things only because of how great God's love for us was. For even though we were in our situation, God still had us. God was preparing a way for us every step along the way. And because me having all the skills, knowledge, and abilities of what I do on the many different things made everything a delightful vacation as we were experiencing what would and is technically less than desirable situations and scenarios, I found a way to make it delightful for her and for me, comfortable every step of the way, because God was there with us. Now, we might have been hard up and scraping by at moments, but I didn't let it get to me, because I knew that this was a wonderful experience, even with all the crap that was with it, that we were going to find a way to make everything good. And even though I might have had my moments of weakness going through mourning from Kelly passing and all these events unfolding around me, I might have had my down moments. But I've had plenty of up moments too. I've had moments where I've been learning things, I've been growing, I've been expanding to where everything's getting shown to me in parts, and there's reasons that everything unfolds the way it does, even if it may not be desirable situations at the times for what they are. But every step along the way is yet again another lesson in the experience of the situation for what it is that brings us closer to the point of where we're going to be within our life. And then the magnitude of everything just continues to unfold. And with that, I see I have talked for almost a half hour. So with that in mind, I'm going to wrap up this video, and well, hopefully you got to know me a little bit more, and now I'm going to sit and enjoy the quietness after rambling. So with that in mind, hopefully this is a good message and you enjoy having some time.